I watched my mom die, heard her gasp for breath, cough that horrible cough, saw her struggle to hold on, and held her hand as she let go. I stood at her bedside for several long minutes afterward, and when I was convinced there was no more, turned to tell her brothers and sisters who slept in rooms just down the hall from where my mom no longer existed. It was 4 a.m., November 10th, 1997. I still see her gray skin, red toenails on white feet, blank eyes, blue nightgown. I tell myself I want these final images, but in my quiet moments, I send the memories away. Maybe if there had been a voice to go with them instead, some closing words or resolution, a peaceful goodbye, or something less brutal for my spirit to remember when I recall those last seconds. But we didn't talk in those diminishing days. There was so much unspoken that could break both of us. For most of my mom's life, I was too difficult, too complicated, too me. So much conflict had passed between us unresolved. The 29 years I'd been her daughter, that 2 weeks before she died, I simply said, "I'm sorry," and hoped that could be enough. But not too long after, I'd lost her completely to the morphine and the body closing down, and realized I didn't say what I needed to say. She didn't say what I needed her to say. Death means no more, and I could no longer fix things. She was my mom. I watched her die. The last thing I remember her telling me as she looked out the bay window from the bed she'd never leave is how she wanted to be a bird, free to circle above it all, and how she'd come to see me after it was all done. I waited for that sign for years. I needed it to know that she forgave me for the daughter I wasn't, that despite it all, she loved me and wanted me to know. I just really needed to see that bird. At my wedding 4 years later, a seagull looped above me as I walked down the aisle. Or that's what everyone told me. I missed it. I thought maybe I wasn't worthy of the sign after all. A year after I married and 5 after my mom died, I met Rebecca through an elder care group. She was 87, a lifelong painter and writer who lived from the soul. We'd visit and talk every Sunday, and her eyes lit up each time I came by. She'd outlived 4 husbands and a son who died from pneumonia, and I was all she had. So it happened that soon enough, we filled each other's spaces. I became her daughter, and she, my mother. Over time, Rebecca told me her stories. She reminded me about forgiveness, keeping on, believing, things I needed to hear. And she let me say what I had to. With her, I was the person I couldn't be with my own mom. We had 6 years. Then one October morning, she broke her ankle and was sent to the hospital. I rushed to the medical center. It was just a broken ankle, but still. Those things happen and turn into other things. Pneumonia, convalescence, infection, more convalescence. A month later, I sat at the foot of her hospital bed. I knew she was leaving forever because I'd been there before. I begged her to let me stay until it was over. I couldn't bear it to end like this again. I needed to be there in a way I wasn't for my mom. And with everything I had to say, said. But she sent me out of the room. "I'm enduring," she told me. "Let me endure." I went home and returned to her bedside several hours later after a doctor's call. Rebecca had died seconds before. I laid my head on her chest and wondered how this could be, how I could stand again, so close to someone I loved, who was no longer. Then I looked up at the clock on the wall in front of us. 4 a.m., November 10th. The same day, the same hour I'd lost my mom, I lost another mother. It hit me right then. I was sure my mom sent me Rebecca to complete what she couldn't, and in the process, allowed me to do the same. I knew with sudden clarity what my mom wanted me to see. It was all right. We'd fix things. There should be no guilt or regret. My mom loved me, and that was the bird I'd needed all along. Thank you.